Ed Simpson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting edition of News You Need. This is the show where we talk to the best human beings ever in the whole world, which is our USM students. We have a great panel today, a little unusual size panel today, which is amazing and awesome, especially since it's the first Friday before spring break, and maybe we'll end up talking a little bit about spring break this morning. So first, why are we here? Well, this is the show where we talk about what is news to our USM students and maybe throw some headlines at our guests to see what they think about what's going on. And first, so why do we do this? Well, the main reason is that news is the weather report for your society, right? This is the idea that you need to know as citizens what's coming at your communities, what's coming at the place where you live, and the best way to learn that is to read and consume and watch the news to figure out what decisions that we as citizens need to make. So that's why we talk about the news. Very exciting. It's always a good discussion. So let's start here. Introduce yourselves, if you would. Give us your name, perhaps your hometown, major, what year you're in, and we'll keep going.
My name is Sydney Stokes. I'm a junior digital journalism major from Meridian, Mississippi.
My name is Kyle Stewart. I am a senior communications major, and I am from Slidell, Louisiana.
I'm Cadence. I'm a sophomore, and I'm a digital journalism major, and I'm from Madisonville, Louisiana.
My name is Lauren Patterson. I am a digital journalism major. I am a senior, and I am from Madison, Mississippi.
Yeah, I love our digital journalism majors. And you're a communication studies?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So you're all here in this building, I suspect, which is how you got dragooned into the show today, which is great. I love talking to our journalism folks and our communication folks. I think that's amazing. So talk to me about what our USM students chatting about. What is news to our USM students this week?
I actually haven't. A lot of people look on Yik Yak for stuff, but one thing, I haven't really looked this week, but one thing that a lot of people were talking about in the past was like probably Prism and going on. Somebody mentioned that it might be potentially shutting down. That was another thing.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. I haven't really looked at anything recently. Like, usually I am also on Yik Yak, but I've just been so busy this week with class that I just have not checked anything.
Interesting.
Instagram and Snapchat went down a few days ago. And
Yeah,
people are really talking about that on every platform that wasn't Instagram.
Did you guys get caught up on that?
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, mine didn't go down either, but apparently quite a few did. And Facebook actually put out a statement saying, "Hey, yeah, we're sorry, blah blah blah." Cost them. The last thing I saw cost them $3 billion in advertising when it went down. Yeah. What are you hearing out there?
I'm like in the Greek life, so I've just been hearing about there's a bunch of philanthropy events that have been going on down the road. So we just had one Wednesday night.
Cool. What was it?
It was Witches for Wishes at Chi Omega.
Witches.
Witches for Wishes. We make grilled cheeses for Make-A-Wish.
Oh, and you dressed as a witch.
No.
Well, then you can't say, I'll go like this for the camera. I don't know. Why is it witches then?
Like sandwiches.
Oh, sandwiches. I get it. See, there you go. So, old literal guy. Gotcha. Talk to me a little bit about Yik Yak. Now, the Dean of Student Affairs actually put out a letter to the campus a couple weeks ago saying, hey, students, chill out on Yik Yak. Did you guys see this?
I didn't see it, but it does not surprise me.
Yeah, so talk to me about that. I hear, now I don't go on there, but I hear it can be really ugly.
It definitely can. I mean, I didn't see that letter or the email, but that might have been what sent a lot of people to that new app. Fizz? Is that what it's called?
Fizz, that came up last week on the show, actually, is that there's a push for you all to jump on Fizz.
Right.
I never heard about that, actually. But what I notice is a lot of students, I hear them, like, they'll talk a lot of negative about their teachers, like certain professors, and a lot of it's true, but you can also figure out who the professors are and who the students are, so it's not really becoming anonymous anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know there was, on Yik Yak, the last time I checked it, there was this big thing about this one band kid that they were talking about.
Yeah, and I don't want to go
No.
specifics because that's one of the issues, right? Is with
Yeah.
this. So, what do you guys think about this? So, this world we're living in, where all of this vile ugliness gets streamed out on an app like Yik Yak, what does that do for us, or not for us?
I feel like it kind of just makes us feel more negative. Like, it just creates more negativity. It just piles it all on, and it keeps piling, and everybody's just mad about everything.
If you were to take a poll of how many positive posts are on Yik Yak and how many negative posts, there's a drastic difference.
Yeah, as in there's a lot more negative.
Absolutely.
I just think that we've gotten in like this, internet bubble, and I mean, sometimes you think that actions don't really have consequences, and it's proven to be true a lot of times, but I've just never thought about posting something crazy on Yik Yak, especially since my USM email is connected to that. I just think
Well,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
it's really truly not anonymous, right? Yeah, and so this is a really interesting thing for us as communicators, and everybody here on the panel today are professional or soon to be professional communicators. And what does this say about human nature? What does this say about our media world? Now, let me ask you this: do you believe what you see on Yik Yak?
No, I feel like a lot of it, some people I feel like they're making some things up. Like, it's like they'll be talking about certain situations that I've never heard of. Like, there certain things going on in the THAAD, like some girl falling like off the elevator or something like that. And I don't think it's true, or they'll just be making up like stuff, I think maybe for attention or to cause a scene. It's kinda
Interesting.
I've had a friend tell me before that she's posted fake stuff on Yik Yak just to cause, like,
See, I love
Just
that,
a
and I think
scene.
yeah. So this is so for our student journalists, I mean, I've kind of been saying this for a couple of weeks now. I think that's a huge story. That when a university starts noticing what's going on in Yik Yak and saying, "Hey guys, you really need to chill out here," and so I think that's kind of a great, interesting story. Folks like me, we don't know what's going on out there. So there's this whole underground conversation the students are having that nobody else knows. Now I think that there's some historicalness to that. There's always been that. I used to be an undergrad in college way back in the day, way before social media, and of course there was always chatter. But yeah, so it's really interesting. So none of you guys go on Yik Yak and say things.
Never.
No, I have it deleted actually.
Oh, have you? I wondered.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I had it for like a year and I wasn't
Yeah.
impressed. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I said, there was nothing positive. It was
Right.
just all
Yeah.
negative,
If it
so-
doesn't help you, why do it? Why spend your time on it?
It's kind of like for me, I enjoy waking up in the morning and getting on it. It's like reading the Southern Miss news, but like a
Oh
little
my
bit.
God.
It's like TMZ for Southern Miss.
Oh my
kind of.
God, that's crazy. Okay.
I think I asked one time about parking, because you can get answers really fast on there. So, but that's the only thing I've ever posted. I was just like asking about a parking spot, whether I'd get a ticket or not.
Really interesting stuff. Okay. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if Fizz takes off. That did come up on the show last week, and apparently there's a movement among the Greek houses to move over to Fizz to get away from the ugliness on Yik Yak. Okay. So we are going to take a break and pick up on some headlines, I think, on the other side.
If you or your business is interested in sponsoring programming on WUSM, we'd love to talk to you about the benefits and opportunities. You can get recognition for your business as well as the appreciation of the WUSM audience. The audience realizes your support provides the programming they listen to daily. In addition, our sponsorship rates are very cost-effective and tax-deductible. To learn more, call 601-266-4287. When you or your business sponsors programming on WUSM, you are getting more than recognition for your product. You are also gaining the appreciation of our audience who understands that your sponsorship provides their favorite programming. And research shows that the audience is more likely to patronize your business, too. In addition, the cost of sponsoring programming on WUSM is tax-deductible. To learn more, call 601-266-4287.
Okay, we are back, and yeah, so we were talking about Yik Yak and the whole information ecosystem just a little bit. So is there anything else going on in our students that think is our news? So we mentioned spring break earlier. What are we doing for spring break?
I'm actually leaving for the beach, like right after this.
No, which beach?
Just Orange Beach.
Oh, in Florida. Yeah.
Alabama.
Alabama. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
I was about to say beaches are opening back up and beach weather's kind of rolling in. A lot of people go to Fort Lauderdale over spring break, so I've seen a lot of that.
Okay. But you're not.
No,
You're
not me.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'll go to Gulfport. It's much closer.
There you go.
I'm actually going to the beach too. I'm going on tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to Panama City, but there is actually Panama City and Miami Beach. They have a complete drinking ban in all public places, all beaches, everywhere. in
Well, how
general.
fun is that? That's
Yeah,
fun.
I think it's because of last year how crazy it was, which it'll be really nice because there won't be as much like trash on the beach and people won't be acting crazy. So hopefully a good time.
Hopefully. Okay. There you go.
I'm going to Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but oh my god, with the Miami stuff, I know like they put out like these commercials or like ads that they're like breaking up with spring break, and then they're like having to pay like $100 just to park at some places.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. They really seem to be cracking down on that. Now, I know back in the day, we used to just jump in the car and go to the beach, and we'd sleep on the beach, sleep in the car, just hang out for 4 or 5 days, and it was actually pretty fun. What do our students do now? Do you plan it?
Yes.
You do? You get hotel rooms and the whole thing?
If you don't plan it, there's not going to be much that you can do, basically.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
We
All
all
right.
usually get Airbnbs, but it's a little hard because a lot of people don't want to rent out to college students.
Right, right. It's too, right, right. Interesting. Okay. Well, so let me throw a couple of things at you, get your thoughts on. Did anybody watch the State of the Union last night?
I saw a few clips. But
Did you?
that was it.
Okay. Well, so there you go. So State of the Union, that's the annual speech by the president given to Congress to talk about how our country is doing. And so our president, Joe Biden, gave his speech last night. And so you saw a couple of clips. Any initial thoughts?
I mean, it looked different than I thought that a State of the Union would, just because the crowd was kind of like giving their own opinions. So that's not what I was expecting. But that's all
Well,
I really
I'll tell you,
saw.
that was going to ask if you guys had heard that, right? So the State of the Union, up until Barack Obama, was a very sedate, very formal event. And the president would come out, and it was as nonpartisan, non-political as you ever heard a president talk, because it was meant to address the entire nation and talk about the State of the Union, to talk about how our country is doing. Well, there was an incident, very famous incident, when Barack Obama was giving his, I believe, second or third State of the Union address, where a Republican yelled out, "You lie." Well, that kind of opened the doors to this sort of heckling during the State of the Union. So yeah, you saw that. That's a big chatter. President Biden was interrupted about 7 times with heckling during the State of the Union. So this is from the New York Times. Let me get your thoughts on this. In his State of the Union address, President Biden laid out a campaign blueprint for the next 8 months, assailing Donald J. Trump as a threat to democracy, vowing to protect abortion rights, and aiming to reassure voters who are worried that he is too old for the job. So that's a pretty good summary, actually, of what happened last night. So what do our students think about this idea of the presidential race, about Biden and Trump running again? What are we thinking? Do our students care?
I think we need some new people to run for president. I think there should be younger people. Like, they're both so old, which is like, I don't have anything against old people. I just
Really?
feel, I don't have anything against old people. I just feel like they don't truly represent our country, you know? And their ideas like are kind of outdated, both of them. And I just think we need new ideas. I think we need new people just to bring forth maybe a better, I don't know, a better, I don't even know the word, but like something better, so that we could probably, I feel like we're all very divided. I think we just need somebody to come in and just unite us all back again.
Yeah, interesting.
Honestly, I feel like it's just chaos going on. I personally, I don't like either candidate, but I'm not sure who I would vote for, and I feel like that's like how a lot of college students feel. And like we're always encouraged to vote and vote and vote, but like how do we vote for a party that neither party that we like? What are we supposed to do? Like, how do we deal in these situations?
Yeah, that is a really interesting thing. Um,
Because, like, last year, do you remember, like, the 2020 election? Like, so many people went out and voted. They even, like, mailed their voting, like, the candidates and all that, and their ballots and everything. But this year, I feel like less people will vote. And a lot of people are encouraged not to vote due to, like, the war going on in Palestine and Gaza.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it is very clear that the presidential race is between Trump and Biden. Trump did clinch the Republican nomination on Tuesday, Super Tuesday. Nikki Haley dropped out, if you follow that at all. And Biden has been, now what the interesting thing is, Biden has been running against uncommitted. So in Michigan, there were 13% of the people who actually bothered to go vote, voted uncommitted, which is meant to send a signal, exactly what you were talking about, on the Palestinian-Israel situation. And it does feel like our students care about that issue.
I think a lot of students do care. I wish we did have, like, a lot more things going on. Like, if we held, like, more, I don't know, if a lot of students got together and held things. Like, I noticed, like, when I was at Czech Room that they have a little thing that says ceasefire now, but I feel like we can do more as Southern Miss, as a college, we can do more.
Interesting. No, nobody else wants to weigh in on that. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. Okay, yeah, no, that has come up several times actually this semester on the show. There's definitely a generational divide. Folks who look like me, which is 1.9 billion years old, we do tend to have a little more sympathy for Israel because of the historical aspect of things. And there is a resonance for folks who lived through 9/11, that, you know, the sense of your country being attacked and then you counterattack. And that's what happened on October 7th with Hamas and Israel. But I do think our students are very clear in saying, it feels like you're okay if you need to go after the folks who murdered the 1,200 people on October 7th, you're okay with that. But what it feels like is Israel has taken it way too far.
It's to the point
They're
where
nodding
I'm
on the
pretty
radio. They're nodding.
I'm pretty sure it's 8 million are people starving right now
Yeah.
in Gaza, and children, they're dying. Like, women can't even give birth. Like, they don't have the anesthesia to give birth, so they're giving birth in like just pain. Like, that's horrible. They're bombing hospitals.
Yeah.
It's the worst of the worst.
Yeah, and that's coming up. Now, so at the State of the Union last night, Biden said, well, what he has authorized the military to build a temporary wharf in the Red Sea, on Red Sea or Dead Sea? Somebody look that up for me. On the edge of Gaza, on the border of Gaza, so the U.S. can import a lot more aid to the Gazans. What do you guys think? Good idea?
I think it's a good idea. I know he did import some food like this past week, but it was barely enough, like barely anything.
Well, and they used airplanes to drop it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's not. It's insensitive, honestly, to me, because like he is providing to Israel the money, and yet when he's trying to help out, he does that instead.
Yeah.
It's a little
Interesting.
demeaning.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, yeah, and why isn't Israel opening up and allowing trucks to go through, right? Go ahead. No, you're so yeah. So there you go. Okay, so that's an ongoing thing with the presidential race. I do encourage everybody. You got to check in on it. I get it. I totally get it. 70% of the people in this country tell pollsters that they would prefer two other candidates, but yet the system has produced these two.
I think after the 2020 election, just about every American had the same exact thought, and I think that's what led to a lot of disappointment this time around. Is we were really holding on to the fact that we might not get these two again, and we are. So a lot of people are just kind of rolling their eyes and they remain uninterested.
And here's my argument on that is yes, I get it. I roll my eyes too, but it is the result of our system, and the system is a result of folks not taking part. So that's my argument. Nobody listens to me, but that's just the way. So this is, we produce these two candidates because, quite honestly, only a third of our young people are engaged. So we had more of our folks engaged. We had more folks taking part. You likely would have a different outcome. That's my argument. You know, that's always my argument. on
By
that.
all means, I agree. Voting's the solution.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And so you go back to, well, you know, I don't want to vote for either of these two, so I'm going to stay home. Well, there is a very stark difference, and that's not actually kind of unusual. Sometimes there is not that much of a difference between presidential candidates. This time there is. There's a very stark difference between Trump and Biden and the policies that they propose. Part of what they talked about last night, or what Biden talked about in the State of the Union, is the southern border. Do you guys care about do our students care about the southern border issues? Are you catching any of that? I'm getting a lot of looks saying, I'm not sure, but yeah.
I've kept up with the news on it. Yeah, I'm concerned with it.
I don't really know much about it, but like I have some opinions, but like
Yeah.
I don't know if they're like the right opinions.
Yeah, well, you know, well, that's the thing, and this is another of my arguments. Nobody ever listens to me about. You know, the way to start is to have thoughts, right? And it's no thought, in my view, very well. There are some thoughts that you don't want to speak aloud, but very few of them. So the southern issue is that the number of what we call contacts with folks coming across the border illegally has doubled in the last 2 years or so. So, you know, when Joe Biden came in office, we had about 11 million undocumented people in the country. We're now about 16 million undocumented people in the country. And a lot of folks are looking, saying, well, that's Biden's policies on the border has allowed this to ramp up, mainly because folks living in the southern hemisphere are seeing that it's easier to get in. So they begin this long trek, thousands of miles to get here. But they did come up with a bill a month ago. Did you guys catch this? The Democrats, and working with some Republicans, came up with a bill to really strengthen the policies on the border, add a whole bunch of people to police it, blah, 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 blah. And Donald Trump sent a message out to the folks in Congress, and they ended up killing it. So that was part of what came up in the State of the Union last night. I'm getting a lot of looks, but not.
Wait, so
Yeah.
they were going to become more strict. And
Yes, they were going to
then
become more strict on yes.
Donald Trump said no?
Donald Trump said no, correct.
Okay. So maybe he's just wanting to do his own thing when he thinks he's going to get in office.
That's exactly what most people
Their
think.
level of strict wasn't up to his standards of strict.
Right.
Is he just...
So we're gonna take a break, and we'll probably pick up with the southern border real quick on the other side.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Okay, we are back, and this is for our final segment. These shows go by so quickly. So the southern border is all very interesting. I'm going to throw another couple of headlines at you real quick. These are two involving universities. So this is the New York Times again. Dartmouth men's basketball players vote to unionize. So the Dartmouth men's basketball team has joined a union. What do you think?
Why?
What's the union's cause?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So college athletics, now not for us, but for many schools, actually for about 20 or 30 schools, make a huge amount of money. And about 2 years ago, might be 2 years ago now, the NCAA said student athletes can get a portion of that money. And actually USM, that has a couple of these players that are getting contracts at making pretty decent money from folks like Nike, Adidas, Coca-Cola, all those folks that have ads in the stadium and that kind of stuff. So that was a huge change. And so so what are they fighting about is the same work rules that everybody fights about. How often do you practice? How long do you practice? Do you get paid to be on the team? All that kind of stuff. Interesting thoughts?
I think it's a little ironic. I think the athletes in college get taken care of better than anybody.
See,
so.
there you go. Now, I wondered about that, right? Is that the average student does not get their tuition paid, free room and board, free transportation, all,
Endorsements.
priority endorsements, priority scheduling, private counseling, all that kind of stuff.
Not to
Right?
mention
The
the
average
media
student
coverage.
is on their own. And they graduate, at the USM anyway, they graduate with about $27,000 in debt. Right? So then now you hear basketball teams unionizing, and I'm not seeing a lot of sympathy.
I don't really feel any sympathy for that in general, just because like us as students, like we work our butts off to like come here and like have an education and be able to do the things that we have, and like some of us have jobs and stuff like that, but they're provided for a lot more things than other people, and it's kind of unfair. It seems, to me, it slightly seems a little ignorant.
Interesting. Okay, so there was a lot of chatter last week and the week before about a bill introduced in the Mississippi legislature to close 3 universities. They unspecified 3 universities. That bill, now this is a headline from Mississippi Today, that bill died in committee, but what the committee did do is create a task force on higher education efficiencies, which some people like me read that as simply code for closing 3 universities. What do y'all, now are you all paying attention to this, and what do you think?
I am. I personally am looking for the names of the universities. I was really hoping that when they had changed the bill or closed it or whatever they decided to do, that they would have released the names anyway, just to say, like, we're backing off on our decision, but here's what we were going to close down. But no, until they release the names, I'm really kind of not concerned. I don't think my specific school's on the...
I don't think anybody thought USM was on the list.
No, not by any means.
Definitely not.
I feel like people, like schools knowing that they were on the list would really kind of like light a fire, and like maybe they'll fix the problem on their own. I don't know.
I did hear about the potential names. I did hear about this from somebody. I heard it was Delta State,
Yep.
Mountain Valley, and then I can't quite remember the last one.
There has been a lot of speculation. Most people think at least 2 HBCUs would be on the list, and so it goes back to Mississippi's very troubled racial past. So yeah, it's really interesting. So we actually have run out of time. So thank you all very much. You guys are always amazing. I super appreciate it. This has been a production of Southern Miss Student Media. Our producer is Lillian Scott. Thank you, Lillian, for keeping us between the ditches. Our engineer is Triderica Winters. Thank you. And our videographer is Elena Petleski. Now, we will take a break next week for spring break. We won't be here on the radio, but we will be back the 3rd week in March. Is that right? Okay, take care.
This has been News You Need with Dr. Ed Simpson. News You Need airs Friday afternoon at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.